Another Klingon starts a fight beneath bad door and lantern light. Walks Davo girl's got her hands upon the wheel, but Imsadai leaves the rest behind. You read my thoughts, you know my mind, the burning truth of everything I feel. My shields are coming down, no turning back around. The power starts to climb, it's almost warp drive time. Don't tell me it's illogical, don't tell me that it's wrong. I've been holding back this feeling for far too long. Counselor, read me right, my prime directive is to hold you tight. Set phases to love tonight.
This is a More Than Just Podcast production.
Welcome to this podcast, Season 8, Episode 10. This is the 250th episode. Woo!
Woo!
Yeah, collect roll.
The semi-quincentennial is what that would be. So
is
America has its
sesquicentennial or semi?
I will get there for Canada. So United States has the semi-quincentennial coming up on 4th of July, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I know, it's just tattooed into my brain because of Mr. Greg Heo, the sesquicentennial was the 150th anniversary for Canada in 2017, I believe.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
That's true. And I was in New Brunswick for that episode. What do you know?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Tim Mitra. I am in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined by Jonathan Kuline in Florenceville, Bristol, New Brunswick, Canada Earth.
Hello there, kids.
And we're also joined by Jaime Lopez Jr. in Seattle, Washington.
How's it going?
Going well. Going well, now that you ask. We were perfect again last week. No fact check.
Woohoo!
That I can think of, anyway. Yeah, so we'll head over to the headlines. And Jonathan, you're up.
Yeah, I threw some Star Trek at you for our opening number here.
What?
I thought we'd do a little Star Trek, what with us talking about Star Trek for 250 episodes or so. Okay, this one's a new one for me. I am not a player of Magic the Gathering. I don't know if either of you are. I'm suspecting not. Jaime, are you a Magic the Gathering fan?
I've not played. I had coworkers that would play at lunch, and I watched and tried to learn a little bit, and they were just either not very good at teaching or too advanced for me to understand.
Well, maybe this will be the thing that gets you on board. So the good folks who are the creators of Magic the Gathering, which is a company called Wizards of the Coast, they have announced a bunch of special sets that are coming out next year, coming on the heels of their very successful collaboration of a Final Fantasy themed deck. They are putting out a Star Trek and Marvel themed deck and a Hobbit themed deck for next year. Next year is the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, for those of you keeping score, and part of the celebrations will be that you will be able to have Star Trek themed cards in your Magic the Gathering deck. So there are not any details so far as to what you may actually find and what you may be able to play, but I, for one, I love the idea that you could, unleash a Gorn on your enemies or attack them with a Batleth or, set phaser to kill or all the fun things we love about Star Trek while you're sitting there playing this very ubiquitous card game. I mean, it's everywhere. It's very, very popular, and I'm not sure how exactly this works. I have seen people play it. I know people who love it. I like you, Jaime, have sort of tried to sort of pick up what I can, but I find it a little impenetrable. I don't know how you mix in the sort of common elements of the game with something like Star Trek, but I must admit I'm very curious. So I don't know if this is going to entice me to actually enter the world of Magic the Gathering, but if anybody out there does play and could provide some insight into how exactly Star Trek folds into this, I'd love to hear from you, because this is a very interesting collaboration.
Well, as a matter of fact, Keen just posted on the Slack that he had just bought his son. Did he just send it to me? No, I think he sent it to everybody. He just bought his son the Marvel Magic the Gathering deck.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, and I think, he says his comment here was that he got his 3-year-old his first Magic the Gathering cards yesterday, but it came with no instructions in the pack. So,
well, that's probably not helpful.
No, so I don't know if maybe Keen, you're on fact check.
That's right. This was on you, Keen.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I have no. I always thought it was the Gathering that put the Magic together, but
who knows?
From what little I recall, and I'm kind of trying to make sense of how this might work for Star Trek. So I recall that the way you build up your decks is very personal to you as a player. So some players kind of go for like pretty average type damage and try to grind you out, and some are like swing for the fences kind of damage of like it's either going to absolutely wreck you or it's just going to miss terribly, and everything in between. So given that this shows artwork of Captain Kirk TOS era, I'm like, so you might have a relatively balanced type deck or team that's like the Federation. You might have something that's a little bit more go for broke, like the Klingons, with something more powerful, but kind of swing and a miss. And then you might have something that like, okay, I'm playing as the Tholians. Hear me out. I'm just going to play the Tholian web. It's going to take like 10 turns to get there. And if you don't stop me, like I'm going to win, right? Like that kind of thing. Again, that's only the very vaguest of what I kind of remember about the different decks and setups and player styles that people have. So if people know better than what I just vaguely speculated off of very, very vague memories, please let us know.
I think in the Tholian deck, we just let you think you won.
Take that, Star Trek fans.
Yeah, if you know, you know. I think you're up, Jaime.
Yeah. How many times on this show have we said vote with your dollars? And
you say almost every week.
Right. It comes up more often than you would think. And here is, proof positive. So, you all talked about the Jimmy Kimmel suspension, which he's back. He came back most of the way, because you have this like national broadcaster, but also local affiliates. Many of those affiliates are owned by rather large conglomerates. The worst of it is in the past as of this recording so far. But people were wondering like, hey, this whole, unsubscribe from ESPN Plus, from Hulu, from Disney Plus, what's the impact? And Disney saw, according to this article by Men's Journal, 1.7 million paid subscriptions canceled between September 17th and 23rd. And that apparently was, according to people on Blue Sky, 436% above the normal baseline subscriber churn. And the numbers have been just amazing coming back. And like this is talking about like actual viewership, and then YouTube, I'm aware, has been really good as well for Jimmy Kimmel back. So this is, again, really proof positive. Like you vote with your dollars, right? Like whatever you watch, whatever you don't watch, that tells the powers that be, like, what is it that you're interested in, or what are your thoughts and feelings?
And beyond that, can we go back to you vote with your vote? Because you're right, Jaime. This is an absolute wake-up moment for people who think that their votes don't count. Your votes count just as much as your money does. You can make a difference by getting your butt to a polling place on election day, and your vote can be just as impactful as it was in this particular case. If you are tired of seeing things like this impingement on free speech happen, you can make a difference. You just have to make the effort.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
You're a snowflake in a snowstorm, but it's a snowstorm, right?
Yeah.
Every snowflake counts.
Yeah.
I obviously watched the return of Jimmy Kimmel. I tend to go to Stephen Colbert as my sort of go-to late night show to watch, even if I watch it on YouTube. But this week on Tuesday, I think it was on Monday, Colbert had Conan O'Brien on.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he's an expert on all this sort of machinations of late night TV. And then on Tuesday, they did a simul thing because Jimmy Kimmel is actually in Brooklyn right now. So he had Stephen Colbert on his show, and on the same night at the same time, Colbert had Kimmel on his show. right? And Kimmel talked about, what happened, how it kind of, play by play, what happened there. So if you're interested, just go find that on YouTube, and he'll explain to you how he found out, and then conversely did the same thing. And the cool thing they did was because one of the things about late night TV, if you watch the three shows, is as soon as one of them goes to commercials, the other two go to commercials at the same time. I think it's like they kind of made that agreement, so you can't flip channels, right? And occasionally they get out of sync, but it's annoyed me all these years that I've watched Letterman and Leno, and because they've always done this, right? But at one point during the show, they simultaneously waved to each other on this. So there's a clip on. I'll find the clip and put it on in the link here. But there's a clip of Colbert on Kimmel and Kimmel on Colbert waving at each other, going, "Hey, how's it going?" kind of thing at the same time in the broadcast, which is really kind of cool.
I haven't seen that. That's actually a really neat idea. That's the I don't know, the modern equivalent of like the Parent Trap or something.
Yeah.
It's not the same person, but it is kind of the same person.
Yeah, it just so happens that they record at slightly different times, and because the Colbert making a joke about the fact that Kimmel would have to return to his show during rush hour in Brooklyn, right? Which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it was really neat the way they timed it. So
yeah, and it's good because it's if you're covering a lot of bases with this content, then hopefully the message gets out there that this is not normal. I think that's a mantra we have to keep repeating. This is not normal. This is not normal. This is not normal.
I feel really bad for Jimmy Fallon this week
because no one's watching his show.
Nobody's watching his show. Well, yeah, everybody watched. Kimmel came back last week, right? So
yeah. I find that I've been watching Seth Meyers a lot as well, and he's just been hitting home run after home run, just pointing out the absurdity of where we're at, and I've been enjoying his work a lot as well.
Yeah, and the guests they have on are interesting too. So, and they're bite size. They're like 10-minute interviews, so it's not like you're getting a ton of stuff, right? So cool. All right, and so we were talking last week about Hulu and Disney, and so Jaime's got some follow up on that.
Yeah, so everybody was thinking that Hulu was going away. No. In fact, it is Star that's going away, getting replaced branding wise, is my understanding, not like content or etc. Branding wise, Star is getting replaced, and Hulu would become the international market branding.
So we'll get Hulu shows now?
Well, we were getting Hulu shows already. They just
they're under the moniker of Star. Yeah.
Just slap a new sticker on top until they start printing out the new ones, right? It seems like it might be related. There's another thing here around the design and navigation changes. Again, this is a podcast and audio medium, so I have this in the show notes for you transporting it home. But in your mind's eye, think about, what does Netflix look like today on your TV? Great. Now just put Disney words on there and you're done. That's pretty much what they've done here. You've got the For You bar at the top with Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN, and that probably makes it easier for them to, internationalize here. It's like, well, it's Hulu for the US, but then everybody else gets Star or whatever. It's like, nope, it's going to be Hulu everywhere. Very consistent for you all.
Less confusing that way.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that the TV is not the place where I want UI metaphors to be new and exciting every single time I go into an app. I kind of just want it to be consistent. How do I search? How do I browse? Where's the stuff I was just looking at or just watching? And where's new stuff that just came out? If you get that, that's like 87% of the way there.
Yeah. I to be honest with you, like Prime, for example, I've been a Prime user since like the Prime TV came along or Prime Video came along, but I've never liked the interface or the way they handle stuff. And everybody's kind of sort of followed each other, and it's more of a standardized format. So yeah, whereas Netflix has not changed one iota, right? So, but like if you go to Disney or you go to to Apple TV or you go to Crave or Paramount or whatever, they're all pretty much very similar in terms of like how to find things, right? So,
okay, so this one is a little complicated, but a lot of fun. So there was a lot of discussion late last week and a lot more this week about this AI-generated actress, which is, I wish they would stop calling that. It's actually just an AI. But there is this tool that has been called Tilly Norwood. and it is an artificial intelligence generated performer that basically does the job that an actor would do. And it has just made people really, 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 really mad. This is started to pick up steam because apparently agencies in the United States are looking at possibly, licensing this product and treating it like an actor and having it basically try and become famous so that you then, follow it and, treat it like you would treat any attractive young Hollywood starlet. And the people who are most upset about this, as you can imagine, are performers who are, saying, hey, this is a very slippery slope. If you basically treat this AI program like they are a person and you give them all the privileges therein, that will A, endanger our livelihoods, and B, then you really have no independent thought. It's just whatever the programmers want it to say, and therefore it can become very, very dangerous in the wrong hands. It's a very, very complicated discussion, I think, but I think it's one that we should probably have because we certainly watch our share of things that are computer-generated heavy, not necessarily AI, but I'm sure there is some, but we certainly watch. I mean, if you don't think you're watching, CGI, every single TV show we talk about on this show uses animated people for things like complicated action scenes and sci-fi special effects and things like that, but do you want those things to be then the people who are emoting on the screen and having these performative scenes? What do you two think about the idea of a famous AI celebrity?
I mean, it's inevitable, really. Like I was just looking at the Taylor Norwood Instagram account, right? And there's a big disclaimer at the top talking about the fact that it's just it's an artwork, right? Because I look at it, it just looks like a young 20-something girl with like doing taking selfies and stuff like that, right? Smiling at the camera, as it were. But I think it's inevitable that there's going to be this kind of thing happen. I mean, like if you look at Take for example, was it Final Fantasy, right? When the Final Fantasy movie came out about 10, 15 years ago, and it was all, Patrick Stewart was one of the voices, and a bunch of other actors were the voices, but all of the characters were computer generated, right? And I just remember thinking it was bad because the foreheads didn't move. But and look at Moana or all the sort of Beauty and the Beast and all the kind of things. They're all generated. They're all It's basic. Snow White. You can go back to Snow White from Disney, right? It's all an artwork that's had a voice put to it, and we believe they're real and they have feelings and what have you, because that's just the way I've been saying this for years. We're sitting around the campfire telling each other stories, right? Whether it's an actual somebody doing a pantomime reactor and recreating the story, or just somebody telling it and you're imagining it in your head, I think with movies, we like to have some, creative people put together spaceships that fly through space at, defeating physics and things like that, or giant sharks that come out of the water. Or I was just watching the movie Prey on my Disney Plus thing here which is basically about a predator in 1790 going, fighting against Comanche and fur trappers, right? I mean, it's all fantasy at the end of the day, right? In that case, there, the predator could be AI generated for all I know. I mean, computer generated for all I know, right? So I think it's inevitable that this kind of thing would take over, and it's it's like the cab drivers complaining because Uber came along,
Yeah, but I guess in this case, it's a different one too. I mean, a lot of what you're talking about is performance capture, or it's modeling. it's I still
Or it's completely computer generated. I'm just saying it's inevitable.
It's true, but I mean, in this case, you're talking about not only is this theoretically something that is a computer generated image that responds in real time, but it's also something that would have a modicum of computer generated thought that would be programmed a certain way to behave a certain way. To me, it seems a little bit unsettling that, essentially someone is writing a personality for this AI that it is then extending out into the world. Basically, you're right. I think it is inevitable, but it almost comes.
You couldn't. One day, the president of the United States is going to be computer generated. Trust me. I won't be here to see it. But
there's a joke in there that I'm going to withhold because we're not a political podcast. But
yeah.
But no, I think it's definitely complicated because in this case, you're talking about something that is essentially weaponized fame, right? You're talking about something that is created that knows all the tricks and the tools and can basically be written to
and manipulate all of our things using psychology. Exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
it's
like
don't
forget Coachella. At Coachella, they've had who's the guy that got shot? The rapper that got shot. They had him appear.
Tupac.
They had him appear, and there's already been computer generated singers and performers on stage who are basically rendered with an LED from a distance. How could you tell? Is that really Pink Floyd or is it just a projection? Right?
Yeah. I mean, what about you? What do you take on this? Is this a good thing, a bad thing, or both?
Boy, it's challenging. It feels like generally a bad thing, and then I think it will end up with a lot of sameness to it. I suppose it leads to some opportunity for people who do this sort of organic produce style of like we have real actors, not AI actors. But there's some interesting bits. So not a visual medium. If you look up Tilly Norwood and you look at the AI character here, the thing that I notice is, so yes, the technology has gotten better to make this more plausible, but at the same time, it's interesting how so many people today kind of look on social media. They already kind of look AI, and I'm talking like before 2022 when ChatGPT made this democratized all of this craziness. I'm like, that's a bad confluence of like you were already photoshopping and filtering and doing whatever. You already looked a little unreal. Now you get this thing that isn't quite good enough to be real, but it's good enough to be your level of real unrealism. And it struck me here to take us way back and say, boy, this wheel of time keeps on turning, people. When you get to my age, just like the elves, you've seen it all, right? You're ready to move off into the Westerlands. And I want to take you all back to July of 2001. Now, I'm aware that for some of you who listen to this podcast, you're like, whoa, that's forever. I'm like, yes. But for those of us who were born in the 1900s, as the kiddos like to call us.
That one hurts a lot. That one hurts.
I'm like, oh, man, that hurts. But yes, I was born in the 1900s. That's true. I remember when Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within, besides the movie itself that was trying to create, boundary pushing CGI to create, characters that looked as human as they could, they also tried to have the Aki Ross character. Voice actor was Ming-Na Wen. They tried to have the Aki Ross character positioned like this might be the first, non-human actor, CGI actor that can appear in multiple properties, not just sequels of like the movies, but like, oh, just pretend she was like an actress and she could be on Sports Illustrated and she can be in this other movie and maybe this TV show. It never went anywhere because the movie, and I had to look this up, the movie, and remember, in the modern era, and I think 2001 is probably close enough, you don't really take your budget and need to triple your box office in order to break even because of all the marketing costs, right? This budget was 137 million and its box office was 85.1. So like, that's not good, right? That's why you never saw this happen. But it does strike me of like, nearly 25 years ago, 24 in this case, people tried to do this. And now maybe the technology is almost there to do it.
Yeah.
That's the movie I was talking about, right? The Final Fantasy thing.
Yeah. The Final Fantasy: The Spirits of the
It was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost. It's July of 2001.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's a slippery slope to me, and I can see why. Obviously, performers who were already nervous about the amount of, the potential for, losing their roles to good computer animation, which can replicate pretty close to human quality at this point. So then they're reduced to, voiceover work. And now you're talking about something that would have the ability to emote in ways that it is programmed to emote. That's a game changer for potentially for performers, right? It's a really interesting philosophy, interesting discussion. But anyway, let us know if you guys want to get into the conversation. Jump onto our Slack channel. We'd love to hear from you and see what you think about the idea of AI performers in your movies. The last thing I have for us is an unfortunate passing this week. We lost someone who's a legend you may not know the name of. Renato Casaro was an Italian artist, and he was one of the most important and influential movie poster artists of the late 20th century. He painted these beautiful paintings for a lot of very famous and iconic things, like Solaris and Conan and James Bond movies and The Neverending Story and all of these sort of amazing posters in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s and into the 90s. He just was very, very prolific, and you absolutely have seen his work. Dune, Red Sonja, like so many different movie posters over the years, and very distinctive art. He also did a lot of sort of outside of North America adaptations. So he did sort of these different spins on some of these, we had one poster here, but other posters in other places. Another place you probably have seen his work was he did all the fake movie posters for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino film from just a few years ago. All the Rick Dalton movies, the westerns, and the sort of rough and tumble guy movies that he had posters all over his house and stuff like that. Those were all done by the same artist. It was. Again, it's always sad to lose these people, but it's a neat thing to sort of see the summary of all their work in these, online tributes and stuff like that to the work that they've done. You realize how much they have influenced pop culture, how much they have influenced other artists, how much they have influenced, our desire to see these things that other creators have made. But yes, Renato Casaro was 89 years old, Italian artist, and his work will stand a long time.
Yeah, once upon a time in America as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, you don't have to look very far to see a lot of work you recognize. The one that jumped out to me immediately was he did the poster for Octopussy, one of the mid-1980s James Bond movies with Roger Moore, which is just a dreadful movie, but it's on the unintentional or possibly intentional comedy scale, it's pretty good. But the poster is iconic with Roger Moore looking dashing in his tuxedo with his gun and everything. It's Yep.
And Conan the Barbarian, as you mentioned earlier.
That's my all-timer. That poster is amazing.
And now I just have a note here that we also lost Jane Goodall this week. 90-something years old. She was 91. On tour, actually.
Yeah.
And she was just in Toronto a few weeks ago. We would have gone if she was here, or if we were here. But, basically awesome scientist and
just an awesome human being.
Yeah. Basically makes us all look bad. But, so up for her.
She really helped, I think, a lot of people to understand the relationship between us and our simian relatives. Obviously that movie, the Sigourney Weaver movie Gorillas in the Mist, is sort of biographical.
That's a different person, but yeah.
Is it? I thought that was based on her.
No, it's Diane Fossey.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But you can edit that part out.
Yeah. Well, oh, I leave it in.
There goes my 250 episode
Well,
gift.
she's the one that, I mean, her early work in her 20s was she noticed that chimpanzees were using tools to get ants out of anthills, and that because back then people thought, what separated us from the apes was our ability to use tools.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's amazing how far we've come for that, because it's changed the sort of boundaries of what humanity is and how we differ from other creatures. But I'll tell you this, my little Chihuahua Pollo, right? I don't know the extent to which he understands, but he does understand that the car keys turn on the car. And I know this because, he's got a little co-pilot chair next to me. And when we're, going to go to the dog park or something, like, he stares at the ignition. And I've tried putting other random things. I'm like, okay, let me see if he just wants to see if my hand going in this area. No, he's like, nope, waiting for the car keys. So I put the car keys and then I put it wrong, right? And he knows that the keys have to go in and make the engine sound. Now, does he know that, like, this mechanically leads to the car moving? No, but he knows it's a signal that the car is about to move, and he calms down after that. He's like, we're going to go to the park, right?
Well, it's the same thing with like anytime mostly Mac walks by a car with an open door, he wants to get in, right? Because you go to the cottage, you go to the park, whatever. And every day when I get up, whenever I put my hat, my headphones, and my shoes on, they all think they're going for a walk, right? And he'll look at the leashes and try to figure out how to put the leash on himself, right? So, they're not dumb. Yeah. There's something going on in there. Alrighty. Well, we're at the main part of the show where we talk about something related to usually Star Trek, but there's not much Star Trek to talk about here. So we are going to continue our coverage of Peacemaker and Gen V in the meantime, and maybe we'll get back to the animated series at some point. But yeah, let's start off with Peacemaker. We're on season 2, episode 6. The ignorance is Chris. and that one, I think the last scene was kind of where that all comes together.
Dun dun dun.
So, Harmy, you all caught up on Peacemaker?
Yes, and I just caught up. We didn't cover this because it was a surprise to me, or maybe I blanked out or something. Superman came out on streaming on HBO Max, randomly. It was like, James Gunn said it on Tuesday and it's coming out on Friday. It's like, oh, really? And so we didn't cover it on the show, I don't think, but we did in this household catch up, and by golly, it's a good thing we did, because they were hinting at things in this season. I'm like, oh, that must have happened in the Superman movie. And now I'm like, oh, yes, this takes place after the Superman movie. We know where in the timeline it fits.
Right, exactly, yeah. But it's just an interesting sidebar here on that is that again, back to the Vision Pro and the whole 3D thing, is that I know that all the Disney stuff, Disney Plus is probably the only app besides IMAX that presents, besides Apple TV, that presents movies in 3D on Vision Pro. And I know that there are some native apps that, like, I think Hulu and Paramount have native apps in the US, but they're not available in Canada, and the Canadian versions don't show. So I can watch Superman on the Crave app, but it's not in 3D. I'm waiting for the price to come down so I can grab it and watch it on the Vision Pro in 3D. But because maybe I'll watch it in 2D and see how different it was, because we saw it in 3D, right, John? Jonathan?
Yes. No. We saw the Superman here, and no, it wasn't in 3D.
Oh, in glorious...
At the Atlantic Cinemas here in Woodstock, New Brunswick, unfortunately 3D is not an option. So
no, that's true.
But yes, it was a 3D, I think, presented at the larger theaters.
Oh, okay. Well, I can always rent it too. Like, I think it's right now it's expensive. It's funny, when movies first come out, like Fantastic Four, it's like $24 to rent right now.
Yeah.
The F1 movie's $24 to rent. Usually $4.99 is a rental price for most things on Apple TV in Canadian dollars. That is probably like 50 cents US, right? But yeah, and I'm waiting for, I think I bought something last week. I like I mentioned, I got 12 Monkeys last week, right?
Yep.
There was something else I bought too, but not related to sci-fi. But anyway, I'd be curious to know if we have listeners out there who have Vision Pros who are in the States, if they could let me know what content they can watch on the Vision Pros from the various streaming channels, right? Besides Disney and Apple. Sorry, back to Peacemaker. But yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, they definitely did talk about, because I mean, the first episode of the season, they had those
the Justice Gang.
Chris goes and gets interviewed by them, right? So
Yep. Yeah, and this one was a pretty good twist. So obviously, we'll just give a quick spoiler warning. If you haven't caught up on Peacemaker, maybe skip ahead a couple minutes. But 3, 2, 1. A pretty major cameo in this particular episode, and one that I certainly wasn't expecting. At one point in the episode, Frank Grillo's character, Rick Flag Sr., says, I got to go see somebody at Belle Reef Prison, which is where the Suicide Squad was. So I was like, oh, interesting. Is this going to be a way for James Gunn to tie the Suicide Squad, which was pre his version of the DCU, into this, so that maybe we'll see some characters, maybe this is Harley Quinn or who knows what. And then no, it turns out to be Nick Holt as Lex Luthor making a cameo in this, which, I mean, he's essentially the biggest, most important bad guy, quote unquote, that we have in the in this universe right now. So that was a pretty good twist. I mean, that was a pretty good cameo. He's in a full scene, right? And I had heard an interview with James Gunn earlier this week where he basically said Peacemaker is not essential viewing for Superman fans, but for people who are, so inclined to watch all of it. There's gonna be some glue here that brings you from the first Superman movie into the second Superman movie. So there is definitely a more cohesive universe. And we talked about this, I think, at one point, but because James Gunn is a hands-on director, he's not an executive producer like Kevin Feige. Obviously, Kevin has had a humongous impact on how the story has woven through all these Marvel movies and TV shows over the years. But James is the hands-on writer and producer and director of a lot of these things. So he can really carry the narrative wherever he wants it to go and explore things he wants to and bring characters back and forth. He just has to get the buy-in and the money, which, as the head of the DCU project, he certainly has. It's pretty cool to see somebody who you just saw on the big screen a couple months ago, or in Jaime's case, on streaming, on a big debut streaming, to have one of those performers, pop up on a weekly television show, right? So that's a pretty good get.
Yeah, definitely. It was a surprise to me too, right? So,
So last week, Tim, you and I were talking about Peacemaker, and I said something felt off about the universe that he was in love with. And I had said, like, I can't put my finger on it, but it's off. And then I saw somebody post on social earlier after this episode came out, and it revealed... Oh,
before you watched it, you mean? Or?
No, after I watched it, I was like, I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I saw somebody post, didn't you notice that there was no people of color at all in...
Well, they say that in the show.
Earth X. And they do say it in the show. And I was like, you know what? I guess that speaks to my white male privilege poking through, because I knew something was wrong and I did not identify that was the thing that was wrong.
I kept wondering why they were showing the people, right? Like the crowds.
Mm-hmm. But that last scene where they're like, one got out and they're chasing her down the street is deeply unsettling.
Yeah, for sure. Even more than the flag?
I mean, the flag is obviously huge and symbolic.
We don't need to super spoil that one because people are listening. But
yeah, when basically people are coming out of their houses, and chasing Adebayo down the street,
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was really crazy. I mean, this episode basically is the 11th Street gang, 11th Street kids go and basically try and go to the alternate dimension to find out where Chris is. Can I just say, I found it incredibly funny how easy it was for them to just like turn on the doorway and go to the alternate universe and walk in and start walking around.
We just moved the buttons around, right?
Yeah, like it was just like, yeah, here we go, we're good. And so they go into this alternate universe and they encounter their counterparts. In some cases, they encounter this weird universe, and then they start to put two and two together, and they realize that this is actually like a very, very, very dark universe that Chris has stumbled upon and thought was this utopia. Not so much. And of course, now it makes perfect sense why his dad and his brother are like heroes here, because they're like notably massive racists in the world that they had come from. So yeah, I mean, this was a dark twist of this, made only beautifully light by the scene where Adrian meets himself, which is one of the hands down funniest things I have ever seen in my entire life. I laughed so hard at Freddie Stroma playing two versions of this whack job psychopath, just trading information and doing this Spider-Man pointing meme to himself. And it was so funny.
Yeah. No comment. It was definitely really, really fun for that particular character. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was kind of, thinking, gosh, they did a really good job of explaining without sort of beating you over the head that like, oh, that's why Peacemaker's dad never, forced his sons to fight so much that, was it Kevin is the other brother's name, like accidentally gets killed. It's like, oh, because in our world, being that kind of, what was his character? Is it White Dragon? Was that the supervillain name?
That's what he is in the original universe. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that severe racist type thing is, at least somewhat looked down upon in the real world, whereas in this alternate universe, it's not. And so I guess the impression here is supposed to be, well, he's not as frustrated by not fitting in because he fits in perfectly. Like you pointed out, like it was basically like Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of pointing at Adebayo, like, what is going on here? Who is this outsider here kind of thing? And so I thought that was pretty well done because it so far hadn't really explained, I'll give you some grace here because I also didn't notice. I was like, what is Harcourt seeing? And I'm not a white man. and I didn't notice. And I feel like it does play at some of the like, well, what is considered default in Hollywood, right? You see too many people of color. It's like, oh, well, that's the Asian movie, or that's the black movie, or that's the Hispanic movie. It's the Indian movie. But if you just see a bunch of white folks, it's like, oh, it's just a movie. It's not a white movie per se, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, I was thinking about, well, should I have seen that? I was doing a little self-reflection, which is probably a healthy thing. And I found myself thinking, I think what it comes down to is I assumed that this was just an American town that had no black people in it. Which to me seemed like, well, that's probably a thing. There's probably American towns that don't have very many or any visible people of color. That's probably a thing. Jaime, I don't know if you've encountered that, and I hope you haven't, because that sounds terrifying. But it's probably a thing.
Yeah. I actually sort of take for granted for some of these shows that sometimes it's just made upville, USA, and sometimes it's a major metropolis.
Springfield, right?
Yeah, or exactly. Springfield is a perfect example where there's multiple of them, many of them, and that's the idea behind the Simpsons hometown name. So you can't exactly figure out where they're at. And so it did strike me. I was like, yeah, it didn't seem like that big of a town. There's a bunch of trees of a type that I'm like, yeah, if it was anywhere that had that sort of tree cover, wasn't particular to like a farming community, agricultural, what we call flyover country in the States. And so it just didn't strike me immediately. And so in retrospect, it's like, man, James Gunn got me good. It's like, I didn't even notice. And you knew what you were doing as a director. And that was part of the art, which I think is brilliant here.
Yeah, no, it's well done to get to this far. I mean, we're talking about, this is episode 6 of an 8-episode season. To build it up, and again, there were certainly clues. I mean, obviously, I felt like something wasn't right, so there was definitely something going on there. But to get to that point, to have you go, oh, is pretty good storytelling.
Yeah, I'm curious now to go back and watch some of the earlier episodes of Chris going around the city, because one thing I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this when going to Holton, Maine, back before 9/11, in Woodstock, you would go to Holton, Maine to go to the Walmart or go see a movie or whatever, and it was a normal thing. And the difference I noticed about the United States and Canada is how many American flags that were flying out front of houses and businesses. Right, in Canada, we do now. Now we have a ton of Canadian flags for obvious reasons, or maybe not so obvious reasons, but it's not something like the American pride of having the flag and the flag being sacred and not touching the ground and all the rules and stuff about that. But I've always noticed more flags in the U.S. than I'm used to seeing, right?
Mm-hmm. And
I wonder, now I'm curious to go back and see if those flags were there and we just didn't notice them in the same way that we did. Because I kept wondering, like, what was there's a scene where we're talking about, it's probably like a 5-minute scene where they're driving from one place to another in a car, and she's sitting in the passenger seat with Homelander's, or not Homelander, with Peacemaker's brother.
Yeah,
right. Because he thinks she's the Harcourt from this world, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Why are you in the house? And have you got back together with Chris? I think that's great, and whatever." And they're driving to, I forgot the name of the company they're going to.
Oh, Argus,
Argus, yeah. And she's looking left and right at all the people milling about and the people down the street and the homeless people and the people with the shopping carts and whatever. And we're looking at them too. And like you said, all three of us missed it.
Yeah.
Until we find out about the connection between the flag and the young lady being chased down the road, right?
Yeah, poor Adebayo. I must admit, I'm kind of when we're done here, I think I might pop over and watch the next episode, because we record right before they drop them on the TV here. So
they drop them at 9 p.m. I think, right? Because lately I've been seeing a lot of like stuff that comes out on Wednesday. I've been watching it at 9 p.m. the night before. I did that with Slow Horses the other day. Yeah.
That was like supremely early. I was like, oh, great.
Well, the same thing with Foundation. I used to watch Foundation as soon as we were done here. Stuff. Yeah.
I find it challenging because I'm an hour ahead of where you are, so it gets later. Jaime, I think you're the winner of this chicken dinner, because you have the West Coast time zone where you kind of get everything in a convenient time except for sporting events.
Right. I was thinking a little bit about Robert Patrick and Frank Grillo. For Frank Grillo, I guess he just has that face. He always plays a dude who's not like a straight up villain, but he's definitely at least an antagonist, right? He was like that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's like that here as Rick Flag Sr. in the DC universe. And I'm going to tie this together, because if you like Robert Patrick in this season, if you like Frank Grillo, hear me out. Tulsa King season 3 has both of these gentlemen playing villains or antagonists going up against Sylvester Stallone. So
Frank Grillo's the brother? Is that the brother?
Sylvester Stallone is
no, I know who he is, but who you're saying Frank Grillo is?
Frank Grillo. So in the series, Sylvester Stallone plays a New York former gangster. Went to prison for 25 years, came out. The mob sends him to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to set up basically to exile him, right? And Frank Grillo plays a rival gang from like the Kansas City area. It comes into play in later seasons. And then Robert Patrick is new this year as yet another rival for basically like vice and sin type stuff. Mafia stuff, but not New York. Oh, sure would be a shame if something happened to your deli, or your bodega. It's like, sure would be a shame if something happened to your distillery, your pot shop, other things that would be more applicable to Oklahoma. So there you go. There's like a shadow pick there for folks. I'm continuing to watch Tulsa King. Season 3 just started, and it's kind of weird going from like episode to episode of like on Sunday I watch these two gentlemen, and then on Thursday I watch these two gentlemen again. Totally different.
So here's a question for you guys. We're about to get episode 7, 2 more episodes to go. What does it say about Chris if he still doesn't want to leave?
Oh, he'll want to leave. Trust me.
It'd be tough, right? Like he did call it perfect. Now is this a deal breaker? Is that where you're going? Is this like a real deal breaker?
Yeah,
for this?
like where are his lines? I mean, from who we met in Suicide Squad, and we were talking about this in a previous episode, the evolution, the rather impressive evolution of the Chris Smith character and how well John Cena's actually playing him, and the writing is all really good. Has, he's certainly a misogynist in season 1 of this show. He's certainly a sexist. He doesn't seem racist because he and Adebayo have a good relationship. But I mean, just because you're friends with one person doesn't mean you're not a racist. I just wonder if he's going to be like, well, that's it. There's a Nazi symbol, here in this Argus office. I'm probably going to have to check out. Or is he going to be like, can I live with this? Because it's not just about, obviously, it's, this is a very dark place and none of us have any illusions about that. But, his father's alive. His brother's alive. There are things that, for him are strong enticements, obviously beyond the dark place that it is. Even if he feels morally this is wrong, it's still the only place where his brother lived and his father's still alive. Like that's and that's it. And he's like loved and and supported and everything else. And he gets the girl. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I think that, like, the fact of the matter is, like, when they say that, if your parents are racist, you're probably going to be a racist too, right? Like, or, whatever their biases are, you're going to adopt those biases to a certain extent, right? And I think that, the fact that in this world, there's this whole racism angle, which we're kind of skirting around about putting the word on it, but that I don't think he could live with that. Right, I think he in let's call it our world, he is an ethical person, and he sort of he sees the problem with his father because he had that sort of, he ends up killing his father in previous episodes, right, or last season, I think, right? Yeah, so
yeah, I don't know. It's again, for a dumb show, it's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Now, a word from our sponsor. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, no, cool.
Jaime, are you catching up on Gen V?
No, I'm hopelessly behind. So you all do this. Okay. This is the like coffee break here. It's way too late to have coffee, but like this is basically the coffee break here. You carry on, gentlemen.
Well,
feel free.
Yeah, the show is actually pretty complex and it's pretty intertwined with the boys universe. Here we've got season 2, episode 5. The kids are not all right. It's getting pretty convoluted. Like, if I told you what was happening in season 2, episode 5, it would not reflect on anything you are watching in season 1, episode 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So here we get the fallout of the revelation that Cypher does in fact have powers, right? We get him basically taking everybody back into custody and planning on forcing them basically to become the weapons that he wants them to be. We see a pretty spectacular failed jailbreak. We get a lot of things moving forward, including another crossover. Another character from The Boys appears, and a pretty significant one too. I don't know. Tim, what jumped out at you about this particular episode? It was
the main sort of thing is that, like, he's trying to get and it's like it's like we don't mention 47. It's like they're trying not to mention the H guy, right? They're trying not to mention Homelander because I think clearly he's grooming her to beat Homelander. At least that seems where we're going here. Yeah. And he's pushing her. it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of an underhanded way of pushing her, because he keeps pushing her to get stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where at the end of last episode, he has what's the name of the character?
Jordan.
Jordan. He has Jordan and her in a knockdown, drag him out fight, and he basically, as he says, he uses Jordan as a meat puppet and takes over and starts beating up Marie, and to the point where Marie has to use her strength to overcome Jordan and almost kills Jordan. But lets go at the last second, and he's trying to convince her that beyond the training that he's, picking up the blood bags and all that kind of stuff, and not raising her hand and just using her brain and not having to cut herself to use the blood power that she's got, right? He's pushing her to get to a certain level, and in the show, there's a character that dies. I don't want to spoil it for people. And she uses her power. She forces herself to... She
uses force healing?
Essentially, she uses her ability to control blood in somebody else's body to bring that person to life, or to resurrect, or not resurrect, but resuscitate that person, right?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive use of her powers.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where, and then she reaches the denouement for her is she's going to become stronger so she can kill Cypher, because she's fed up with the way he's manipulating these children. Basically, it's child abuse, really. Like, at the end of the day, like, they're all under, I guess they're all under 19, right? So the way he's manipulating these kids, it's abuse, right? So
yeah, it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark stuff.
But I mean, but it is a dark show. I mean, like, from that whole point of view, right? Like, yeah, and it's definitely like, not for the kiddos to watch, in terms of like the basket weaving we saw last week and things like that, right?
I thought the part of the show that was really interesting this week was when they spent the time with what's the young man's name? Sam, where Sam goes back to visit his parents.
Yeah.
And, through the first two seasons, Sam has obviously played this very psychologically broken, person with major mental health issues. And he's always related that to his powers and to, what he is. But here we get this huge kind of moment where he goes to his parents. He has this conversation with his mom where he basically says, like, I can't believe you guys gave me this drug that made me crazy. And she's like, you're not crazy because of that. We have a history in our family of mental health. You have severe mental health issues, schizophrenia. That's because of genetics, not anything to do with your powers at all. We turned you into Vought because you were severely dangerous, because you have this mental health issue and you have these powers, not because you have these powers. I thought that was really, really quite deftly handled and really smart, as far as, giving that character a lifeline, where it seemed like he was really just kind of off on his own and just, really, really struggling.
Well, and the father tells him that Vought told him that the kid had died, right? And
yep.
And then when they found out he was alive, they tried to go see him, and at least he's telling him this. But it's kind of, I kind of had this weird feeling. Like, do you remember the Twilight Zone movie?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Do you remember I remember Kay Lenz was one of the actors in it, but there was this kid. She goes to this house, and there's this kid, and there's all these adults, and they're all walking around on eggshells around this kid, because he had this mental power to basically,
banish them to the fields.
Ruin them, or what? Yeah, was it banish them to the fields, whatever. But he had this ability, and they were all deathly afraid of him. I got the impression that the mom and dad were deathly afraid of Tommy, or whatever his name was, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and in this case, Sam, like, he's definitely. Yeah, it's okay. Sam is definitely, his dad is definitely much more welcoming, but I think his dad doesn't necessarily have that knowledge that his mom does. His mom is like, I've seen this. You had an uncle who was also, had deep mental health issues. So I know what we're dealing with here, and it can be really scary. And it's infinitely more scary when you tie that to somebody who...
Was he responsible for his brother's death?
No. So, again... Jaime, close your ears for a second. It's in the first season. His brother basically finds out what's going on at the school, and that's what leads him to perish. But yeah, in this case, Sam has kind of got all this baggage because he thinks he was rejected by his parents. He thinks that he's got this mental health because they forced him to take this drug. They think that his brother's death is tied to this, his time at school, his relationships, all this stuff. He's kind of associated with his powers, and it's kind of held him back from realizing that those are separate issues that he needs to deal with, right? But yeah, I mean, again, it's I find the show slightly different from The Boys in that it feels like it's much faster paced. It feels like it's for the ADD generation. Like there's just scenes are cutting really fast, lots of characters, quick dialogue. It feels like there's just a different pace to it than The Boys, even though it does have a very similar energy as far as like the universe that they're in and the existential threats of what's going on. I think this is actually a really beautiful side piece, season 2 so far, to go along with where we spent last season with The Boys, as far as like the temperature going up in Vought's America and Homelander taking control and all these different things that are going on. But it's also it's funny because I think about, obviously, Chance Perdomo died tragically, and they had to change how they were going to write this and everything else. But I think to myself, Jesus, if they had one more character in here, it would be really, really hard to keep up with everybody as they're moving around and their motivations. And they've added these scenes in where now his dad's a supporting character again, and there's kind of a lot going on too. And it's not exactly single-mindedly focused on the problem at hand. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, and there's also, it's interesting too, like with the father, like he has that sort of seizure at the end there in that one scene, right? And all the metal starts flying around the room. There's that, and then there's also Kate, who, because of her brain injury, can't really fine tune control her powers. It's funny.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It's played for humor.
She's like, "Hey, give me the keys," and it's like the scene where what's her name from Star Wars, the new version of Star Wars.
Oh, Rey.
Yeah, where she says, drop the
keys. Yeah,
drop the blaster or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's Daniel Craig, right?
Yeah.
But he kind of goes, yes, okay, what? Just she uses the Jedi mind trick on him. But it's kind of like that. But she's got the Jedi mind trick, but because of her injury, she can't really, and it just becomes comical, right?
Yeah.
Comical in a sort of really masochistic kind of way.
I mean,
right?
the one from last episode with the garden gnome, and then yeah.
Oh, the garden gnome, yeah, and then the guy with the stun gun, the stun stick,
yeah,
stun stick,
yeah. It's
and how the guards in the jail are just like, oh, I guess we just lost Jose and Frederick,
Yeah, they sure are pretty blasé about the massive amount of deaths and going on around them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny, like where you knew things were. I mean, I don't know. You probably saw this in the writing, but when I think one of the Marie or somebody says this is too easy.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
The breakout.
Yeah.
No alarms, no nothing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's clear that the Cypher character is definitely being played as this sort of smartest man in the room, right? Like always seems to be ahead of them. So it'll be interesting, 3 episodes to go to wrap up the 8-episode season. It'll be interesting to see if they resolve this. I found myself for the first time wondering as I was watching this, as we crossed over the halfway point, I found myself wondering, does Gen V continue after The Boys? Does The Boys conclusion, which is expected to be next year, sort of logically put a cap on this universe, or do they want to continue being in this universe without that sort of larger? Because you'd think that as part of that, they're going to resolve the Homelander, Starlight, all the big pieces on the board kind of stuff, Sister Sage, all that stuff. I wonder if we're going to get a 3rd season of Gen V. I know they're working right now in Toronto right now. They're filming a prequel called Vought Rising, which is like a boys prequel kind of thing. But I found myself for the first time wondering, like, is this? Are we like season 2 of 3? Are we season 2 of 4? Are we season 2 of 5? Are we season 2 of 2? It was the first time I found myself kind of wondering, like, where does this go?
Yeah, well, and I mean the other thing too is like Maeve isn't really dead, right?
Maeve is not really dead.
Yeah, she's off on an island somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of wonder if that's going to come back, like, or was the actress just want to leave the show or something, or what was the story there?
I'm not sure. I mean, they wrote her out, like, she was trying to get out as her character was trying to get out of,
because all the kids have Maeve dolls in this show.
She wanted to be with her, because she was gay. She wanted to be with her partner, and that's against the image and everything. So, like, she wanted out, and then they basically faked her death in The Boys so that she could be out. But then she's also come back, and so I don't think she's. I think
Is she back in the universe now?
I'd be shocked if she didn't come back in season 5 in some kind of supporting role, just because she has such a mad hate on for the Homelander and everything he stands for. So yeah. But maybe she, Marie, and Kate will be the new Marvels or something. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But yeah, again, it's been a good season. It's been interesting. They're definitely exploring lots of stuff. I feel like every time after I watch an episode, I'm like, that was a lot to take in. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
I gotta say that, like, I find The Boys to be hopeless.
Yeah,
right? Like yeah, there's. I mean, you're rooting for I forgot the names of like the main characters that we're sort of supposedly supporting.
Well, Butcher and
Carl
Huey,
Urban, and Butcher and the young kid, right?
Yeah.
But everything they and Starlight and everything they do seems to be they keep getting stepped on every time they try and do something. And Homelander is so strong but yet so full of himself that he's going to fall. But that's hard.
That's the kind of interesting part of this season is that they are kind of positioning the Marie as a potential foe.
Without saying it, like they're all sort of like they're skirting around. They're not using the H word, right?
Yeah,
but they do drop Homelander's name every now and then. Especially when the adults are talking to each other, right?
Yeah.
Because the character from The Boys that came this week,
Sister Sage, that
you mentioned. She and Cypher talk about Homelander, right? So,
well, because I think everybody recognizes. I mean, you're talking about somebody who has, the political support of, 47.
Can't think of a common day analogy.
Yeah, the political support of a populist, but also, the might of a nuclear weapon, right? Like, yeah. So, obviously, again, there's this sort of very ready, apparent parallel to society, but also it's definitely very it's a very interesting way of approaching it to sort of use the superpowers as the allegory, right?
Yeah, for sure. Scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, should we move on to our watch list?
Hells yeah.
All right, how many you're up first? Let me guess. Jason Momoa.
Yeah, this series is entirely available, all 9 episodes of Chief of War on Apple TV Plus. It's pretty enjoyable. It definitely has beautiful artistry to it, and it's kind of cool because very similar to Shogun that went, all in on Japanese for the vast majority of speaking. It's a little bit less so, but like they spend a lot of time in speaking, native Hawaiian, which is pretty cool. So I definitely appreciated learning more about the various island cultures and how this sort of Game of Thrones-esque sort of thing goes on. So.
Yeah, I think I saw an interview with him talking about how he was really proud to be doing this project, right?
Yeah. It's definitely an area that I didn't know much about, so I appreciated learning from this.
Yeah.
I meant to mention this one last week. So PlayStation is working on a video game based on the character of Wolverine. And it is being done with the budget and or effort that they put into the most recent Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Miles Morales games. In that it's a AAA level game. huge gameplay, very great special effects, all the bells and whistles. And they dropped, we've known that they were working on this for a while, but they dropped a gameplay trailer last week. And holy moly, does it look good. It is, it is everything I think we always imagined. Wolverine's been a video game character for a long, long, long time. I have some Sega games from back in the day, Nintendo games from back in the day that have a Wolverine character, and it was always a winner, especially when you got to something like Marvel versus Capcom, where like you could be Wolverine and use your claws and your strength and have fights and stuff like that. But there really hasn't been a good, which is funny. There hasn't been a good narrative exploration of Wolverine. There have been some video games, there was a PS2 game. There's been games over the years that have kind of dipped into this, but to see the spectacle and the effort that they're putting into this one, I have a feeling this is going to be a huge game next year. Obviously, it's going up against things like Grand Theft Auto 6 and everything else, but if you get a chance, check the trailer out for this one. It shows the gameplay. It looks incredible. It looks so vivid and authentic, the way that Wolverine moves, the way he talks, the way he uses his powers. And it just seems to be a big kind of narrative, one of those great 15, 20-hour games where you just really dig in. There's lots of cameos and characters and Easter eggs and all this stuff. And it looks fantastic. So I'm pretty keen to see what the final product on this one looks like.
Is it voiced by Hugh Jackman as well, or? I
don't think so. I listened, and I didn't look it up, but I listened, and it did not sound like Hugh Jackman. In the Spider-Man games, it's not Tom Holland or anything like that either. So I'm not surprised. It's not meant to be movie accurate, but it's meant to be character accurate. So it certainly sounds like you'd imagine Wolverine talking. So pretty cool. I did make a point. I wanted to rewatch Stranger Things before the 5th and final season, the first half of which comes at the end of November. So about 8-9 weeks from now, we're going to get the first half of the final season, and then the last part comes, I think, on Christmas Day. So I sat over the course of this week when I had time, and I rewatched season 1 for the first time in quite a while. And I just wanted to say it's funny because I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed, re-immersing with the characters and stuff like that. But it's so funny because when I think about Stranger Things, I think about, they always kind of told this story from these different perspectives. It's different members of this group. It's the parents, it's the teenagers, it's the younger kids. They're kind of all working on different angles of this mystery, and then it kind of all culminates as they all kind of bring their different angles together and you fighting off against the big bad. In the first season, there's so much more reticence. They're like, what are you talking about? There's no such thing as, telekinesis and all this stuff, and you just get so used to remembering the characters as they most recently are, not as they were. So it's very funny to go back and see it where they're like, what do you mean, what's an upside down, what are you talking about, telekinetic powers? Like, everybody's very much more like doubting until they sort of start getting immersed in this world. But it definitely is it's a really well put together show. It's also really weird when you watch it, having known where everything's going, just how, that's kind of why I wanted to go through it. I wanted to rewatch it so that I could just remember all the little details and all the little threads that they left out there. Well, where does this connect? Where does this connect when we get to season 5? In season 1, there's so many beats that get picked up in 2, 3, and 4, but also there's just so much just they're so young, and they're so just the world is so very different from here we are. Like, it's been almost 10 years since we first got this show. And without all the, when who lives, who dies, where the mystery goes and stuff like that, it definitely takes something out. But when you're looking for the nuances, they definitely do a really good job of layering in stuff that comes around and sort of creating a rich tapestry, which when you consider...
Can you see that there was a 5-year plan in this thing? Or?
I don't know that there was a 5-year plan. Initially, it was supposed to be an anthology series. They were going to tell a weird story here, and then they were going to go somewhere else and tell a weird story somewhere else. And they realized as they were working on it, they're like, actually, this is really good. These kids, particularly Millie Bobby Brown, are really something. we kind of got something here and decided to sort of really focus on this as not an anthology but a series. So I'm not sure that's exactly where they were headed, but yeah, it definitely feels like, you know, when you consider this was the Duffer Brothers' first kind of major project, you really kind of do see they were, you know, some of it's very homage-y, and obviously you can go through and you can pick out all the things that it was referencing, but it also very much, you know, kind of does create this very rich world, lots of characters, lots of good supporting characters. I'd forgotten how much I really liked their science teacher from the first season, who's just like, you know, so supportive of these kids. He was clearly a nerd. He recognizes these nerdy kids. He's trying to nurture these good things in them. It creates the like ham radio club for them to be in and stuff. And it's all those little things that really just kind of make this show something that it became, which is pretty special. It's a pretty well done show. And the other thing I was really struck by is, you know, to go back and see it now, especially knowing where we are, 11-year-old Millie Bobby Brown, my goodness, what a talented young actor she was.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, you know, she hasn't really become, Oscar nominated performer yet, although she's still a very young woman. But boy, you really see like, holy smokes, what a very, very gifted young performer she was. And I'm looking forward to diving into 2, 3, 4 over the next 8 weeks before the show comes on, just so I can sort of see where it goes. But yeah, if you are thinking of doing it, I would say it definitely is. It's getting me more hyped for what's coming, and it also definitely was good to refresh a few things where I had just, you know, it's been a long time since I sat down and watched it, so it was good to get some refreshing in there. And the last thing I got in here is just I wanted to mention, I noticed last night that The Naked Gun, the new Liam Neeson version of Naked Gun, just dropped on Paramount this week. I loved Leslie Nielsen versions. They're stupid. They're so funny. Leslie Nielsen was an absolute god amongst comedians, noted Canadian. And I'm really curious to see. I enjoyed Liam Neeson playing comedy roles. He's so hilariously Irish and dry. I'm really curious to see what this is like. I heard people say it's very funny, so I'm going to make some time over the next few days to sit down when I need a laugh, and God knows we could all use a laugh nowadays, and watch The Naked Gun and watch some silliness, and looking forward to that.
And what's her name? The other Canadian?
Pamela Anderson. Yes, noted Canadian as well. Product of BC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I got a couple of things. So I just added Prey. I just started watching Prey this afternoon, just because just to fill in the alien or predator kind of world. I'm almost near the end of it, but yeah, it's interesting. It takes place in 1792 or something like that, and with the Cherokee Nation, and there's a young lady in it who's, you know, trying to convince the boys that she can hunt as well as they can, and she kind of figures out that there's something bigger than a bear out there, and yeah, they finally had their skirmishes with them. So, and where I am in the story, she's been captured by the French Canadian trappers, and you know, she's about to watch them get slaughtered, I'm sure. You know, another thing is we talked about Robert Redford a couple of weeks ago, last week maybe, and all the stuff was on sale. But I noticed that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was on Disney Plus, and this is one of my favorite movies. This is a 5-star movie for me. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it is so good. It reminds me, it's very much like the original Star Wars in a sense, you know, because it's got that same sort of pacing, and it's just about these two characters, and Paul Newman is hilarious as Butch. And the funny thing about it is he didn't think of himself as a comedic actor. So he kind of plays it straight, but he's super funny in the role. And
oh yeah,
Sundance is so sarcastically funny, and it's well shot, and it's a 4K transfer on Disney Plus. Obviously, it was on sale. I think it was on sale for $4.99 a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, it's on. Why pay for it if it's free on Disney, right? But yeah, it's one of my favorite movies, and I'd forgotten how much I love it. And my favorite line is, "Who are those guys?" You know, like you never see, again, like I said with Jaws last week, you never actually get to see the people chasing them. You see them in the distance, and some of the shots are amazing. Like it's shot in like Wyoming, and like there are shots where you're in the foreground. You've got Paul Newman and Robert Redford and this horse, and they're walking the horse up a mountain, and way off in the distance you see these 5 people chasing them. Like, and how they coordinated it all through radio and stuff like that. But like they had some amazingly lucky shots where they managed to get these guys off, little tiny guys, just chasing them, or little dust clouds over these horse guys chasing them. It's a really, really good movie and funny because and some of the interesting Cloris Leachman's in the middle of it. Before she was Phyllis, she was like she played a lot of roles where she was like the pretty woman in the room kind of thing, right? She plays Lady of the Evening, and Kate. I've forgotten her name now. The soundtrack is by Bacharach. It's like it hits all the good spots of a 1969 movie, right? So something to watch while you were drowning your sorrows over the Beatles breaking up. But yeah, definitely. And which leads me to this next link. So I log all the movies I watch, and I've gone back and historically logged all the movies I watched in my lifetime on Letterboxd, which is an app where you can do that. And you can share it with your friends and sort of keep up with what they're doing. And you can see I have a few friends that are other movie files, and I can see their ratings of movies that they watch. And like one of my friends is another guy who goes to TIFF, so I get to see what his opinion is on movies that I watch. And then another friend is another iOS developer who I've met at some meetups in Toronto, and he's totally into like all the Japanese and Chinese, sci-fi and stuff I would never watch, right? He's into horror and all that kind of stuff. But it's interesting to see what his opinion is. Anyway, the list I get these rushes every time I log a movie. I usually get an email from Letterboxd, and today there was a link to movies everybody should watch at least once during their lifetime. And I, going through this list, I'm probably at 20%, maybe 15% of these movies that I haven't seen. Like a lot of them. And it's like there's a lot of really good sci-fi movies in this. If you want to just check out this list, it's all just covers of movie posters, I guess, right? And they all link to the different movies. But you just name a movie, and chances are it's in here. And then there's some I've never seen Seven Samurai, although it's the hero's journey as well, right? But like Interstellar's in there, Aliens in there, Star Wars is in there. The Batman is in there, the Dark Knight, I mean. But yeah, so anyway, so check out this list. It's really cool.
Very cool.
But anyway, there you go. Yeah, so those are my picks for this week. So I guess that's it for another week. So hey, Jonathan, people want to get in touch with you. Where would they find you?
Oh, you can look on Instagram or Blue Sky. I'm at JPK News, or YouTube at youtube.com/@JPK.
And Jaime, if people want to get in touch with you, where do they find you?
I'm on Instagram as @DevTheHair.
Right, and as I said on the top of the show, my name is Timitra, Timmitra, on the Twitter. No, not. You can find me lurking on Blue Sky, LinkedIn, and Threads. I'm on Threads quite often too, but only because I go over to watch all the craziness and Michigas and stuff that's going on out there. So until next time, we'll see you in the future. Bye.
250, baby!
You've been listening to the Spotcast podcast. If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spotcast website at spotcast.com. If you have feedback or questions, you can get in touch with us on the website. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/spotcast. You can find details on how to help us on our website, spotcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
Episode 250. That's what they said. Keep up with it, they said. Keep it going. Eventually it'll pay off. Or will it?
The money's coming any day now. You wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can retire soon.
Yep, that's the dream. Next door neighbor's house is still for sale, just saying.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering about that, actually.
Yep, still sitting there.
No bites? No nibbles?
I mean, I haven't seen anything, but I mean, that's not...
Is the one down the road still for sale, too? Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
We were...
Yeah, houses wouldn't last. In my neighborhood, houses would last maybe a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird time of year down here, too, because obviously a lot of people prefer to move, if they're moving their kids or whatever. You don't want to be moving out late in the year. But it's also hard to tell. Houses here sometimes, it almost feels like people are just like, we'll list the house until someone finally hits our target. It's like how are they earnestly looking to sell? Do they need to sell, or do they want to sell, or is it just like, let's see how much money we can get for our house from some sucker from Ontario or Alberta or wherever.
Yeah. Well, is it in terms of house? Well, the neighborhood. Is it highly priced in terms of what's going on? Or? No,
I mean, I haven't been inside. I've only seen the photographs. They have a lovely property, also riverfront like ours, but a slightly more forested. And it's a little bigger too. They have 5 acres. We only have 3. But they're also obviously us on one side. The other side of them is an empty farm field right on the river as well. So it's pretty private. And, I think I've sent you the pictures. It's a pretty funky house. It feels very artsy. It's got big windows.
I like the look of it, but Carol didn't like the wood. She says a lot of wood.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't speak to the quality of craftsmanship or anything else.
I like that Canadiana, it looks a lot. It's funny. The front of it reminds me of Strombo's house too, right?
Yeah, a little bit. It's got that sort of
70s, 80s kind of angly stuff that they did with the heavy lumber.
Yeah, yep. But I mean, this market is, again, it's a weird one because we waited for months and months to find something that was going to be vaguely appropriate for 4 adults plus animals plus all our stuff and everything else.
It had to have a pool.
Well, it didn't have to have a pool. It was getting a pool one way or the other. Wherever we're going was going to have a pool because Sherry is just absolutely adamant that was a must. But then, I haven't really kept up with real estate since then, but I certainly see stuff in my own little area here. And there's certainly no shortage of places that you can get for, an absolute song compared to what you get in the
Toronto,
GTA. But obviously, we were just talking with someone the other day and they were like, so what's your community? 50,000? I'm like, 50,000, 1,500 people. That's the entire community. 50,000, you have to drive about an hour and 20 minutes to get to the city, to get that. And even then, by a lot of people's standards, pretty small for a city. So, it's definitely a different lifestyle for sure. But we're liking it. It's beautiful. I mean, right now it's autumn here. The trees are turning colors and starting to fall, and it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous here.
Is your autumn late like it is here too? Or
I would say we tend to be probably a couple weeks earlier. We're probably right now where you'll be later in October. It's
because I was walking around with t-shirts and shorts last week,
and I was too. I was been doing a lot of yard work just because it's a lot better than it was in the summertime. It's a lot more manageable. I was out doing yard work in a t-shirt, a pair of jeans. Just then the jeans were really, I was sweating my butt off, but it was just to keep my legs from getting scratched up and everything. But it's supposed to be like this morning when I let the dogs out at 7:30. There was looked like it might be frost on the ground, which was surprising. But then on Sunday, it's supposed to be with the humidity, it's supposed to be 30 degrees. So we're still feeling a little bit of the push pull too. And obviously global climate change, it does stay a little warmer here a little longer. I mean, I was in our pool up until about a week ago.
Did you say 30 degrees?
30 degrees.
Like hot.
Yeah. 30 degrees on Sunday. I will be continuing to try and get some work done without sweating my butt off. It's genuinely.
You got the pool to jump into, though.
I don't, unfortunately. So we're actually closing up the pool this weekend. So I know it's kind of a tough one because like the dogs and I were still using it because we would go out and I would do I did a huge amount of tree trimming and removal and stuff like that. It took me like 3 days of consistent work to get it all done, and I would just be drenched in sweat by the end of those days, and I would just grab the dogs and 3 of us would jump in the pool, but one of those things where it's like it's all fine and good to have the pool to jump into on the warm days, and then you come out in the morning and there's a layer of ice on it. You're like, well, that's probably not good for it. So, we called our pool guy. He's coming on Saturday to pack it up for the winter, which is bittersweet because it's certainly not a small amount of work, but it's also I've never had a pool, not ever. My parents had one when I was like 4, I think, for like a year, at a house we were renting. But yeah, I've never had a pool, so it's been lovely to be able to use, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time and effort to put into it too. So, it's certainly not free and it's not easy, but it is a lovely thing to have when you can spend the time with it.
I'm just looking at the weather up here. It's going to be 25 on the weekend here, but you've got a frost advisory for tonight.
I do, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. We also have a Northern Lights advisory for tonight. There's a
that's a shame.
It's an electromagnetic storm that's hitting part of the northern part of North America right now. So, if you find yourself in a dimly lit area, you have an opportunity to see some northern lights. I've seen some beautiful pictures from up in the Gaspé, the northern parts of the province, where there's very little light pollution.
Yeah, you don't have that. Yeah, the light pollution. Yeah, for sure.
Like in my yard, I get an absolutely spectacular view of the stars. What I don't get is, there's enough human light here that you can't really see things like the northern lights. You have to go to farm country and get a little bit further outside, but.
Yeah, I used to see it at the cottage every now and then.
Every now and then, yeah. Tonight it's supposed to get down to 1, feels like -1, but by tomorrow afternoon it's up to 20 again. So yeah, here we are on the yo-yo string. Yeah. Jaime, how were your travels last week?
Last week. Hold on, I think.
Or was it just you were just taking the dog in, right? You weren't actually traveling anywhere, right?
Yeah, it wasn't any travel. It was the couple of weeks before. I'm looking at the calendar here.
Was it San Diego you went to?
Yes, but that was back the week of September 9th. Okay.
I love that. It's a beautiful city.
Yeah, it was a little bit more humid than usual, so maybe that's a climate change kind of thing. But worked out pretty good. It's nice. I don't know. I don't think I have that much travel left. November, I'll be third week in November, probably 3rd week in November. We're going to Miami for a conference that'll end all the work stuff, and then just the winter holidays for traveling back to El Paso and visiting family.
How's the temperature in Seattle as far as the not the actual temperature, but the I understand that the National Guard is invading Portland, which is not a good sign for cities like Seattle.
Yeah, it's come up for like World Cup stuff where reporters are suggesting to the administration, hey, cities like Seattle, they're not really vibing with your changes. Should they have these games taken away? It's like, guys, what are you doing here? Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know that they actually can. I'm not sure what levers there would be, but it's dumb and petty to suggest that sort of stuff. It's like, bro, you can't just whip up a place to put games. They don't just decide the weekend before, like a pickup game. Like, hey, guess what? This weekend we're all going to go here and do this stuff.
Not when the world is flying in to go see their team in that city at that point, and all the hotels are booked and all the logistics. Yeah, it's and it's not like they're doing it in one spot. Not like it's like World Cup, but we're just having it in one city. It's like it's spread all over North America. There are games in Canada, there are games in Mexico, there's a lot of games in the United States.
Yeah, I'm not sure how all that stuff's going to work out.
I'll be really curious too. I mean, they've definitely made it more difficult for people to travel in and out of the United States over the last little while too. I'll be curious to see what the impact is as far as people coming from other places, because there are some places that are going to be represented in the World Cup that their citizens are not supposed to be allowed into the country.
Yeah, that gets real weird and difficult.
Yeah. Oh, it's a complicated thing.
Yep, for sure.
Let's all watch The Boys and not think about. Oh, never mind. Let's watch Peacemaker and never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If only there was some sort of trek through the stars we could watch.
Yeah. Just don't watch any of the seasons of Enterprise. They did a pretty good.
No, I know. Yeah.
Pretty good anti-war on terror kind of thing back in the day. So.
Oh, I forgot to. I was gonna show you guys You saw the video that I posted on somebody sent me the video for it's the heavy metal Star Trek thing, glam metal Star Trek.
No, I didn't see that.
Did you watch that? It's on the Friends of the Show channel. I'll give you 2 minutes to look at it.
Is that good?
Yeah, you can do live commentary while you're watching it too. Have you watched it?
Oh,
I haven't. I realized it was saved in my queue, and then I didn't get my normal.
I was actually going to take like 30 seconds of it and put it at the very beginning of this episode.
I saw another one just like this the other day, and it was like It was basically like, what if Star Trek was set in like Miami Vice kind of? It was another AI video, and it was so stupid, but I must admit I did laugh.
Yeah, set your phasers to stun.
Set your phasers to love tonight is what.
To love, yeah. No, I'm seriously take 30 seconds. Just watch the first 30 seconds of it.
Yeah, this is what the other one looked like. It had the same AI vibe to it. I got to say, I love Picard's mullet.
Yeah, well, and it's got everybody. It's got like all 7 of 9. It's got Jadzia
Miles
Dax.
O'Brien.
It's got the other Dax.
Oh my god,
it's got Cisco and Jake.
I think Jonathan Frakes could have pulled this look off back in the day.
Yeah. Are you listening to the music too?
Yeah. Bashir with like the Prince look.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I mean, we have Gwar. Should there not be a Klingon metal band out there?
Yeah.
Right?
With Worf on bass?
Yeah. Wow. That is special. I love the like bat left end on
the
Worf's bass guitar. Yeah. That is something else. I need something like that. Wow.
You'll be singing this song for the rest of the week.
Oh yeah. Woof. That is special. Holy moly.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how much of this I can put in the beginning of the show without getting sued.
I mean, they're ripping off something else. I don't know where their leg to stand on is.
Yeah. But like I said, it's inevitable, right?
Indeed.
It's got Yoshi in it. It's got. I think I even saw. No, I don't know if I saw. What's her name?
This is the one I saw. Hang on, I'm gonna put this in our show notes.
I noticed that. What's her name? That was in Lower Decks. She's in.
Tawny?
Yeah, she's doing a cop show now.
Yeah, I think I saw an interview with her the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's a sequel or spin-off of another one, I guess, because the preview that I saw, I was like, isn't that guy that she's accidentally trying to arrest? And he's like, no, I'm a cop too. Isn't he from another show? And I just like a Boston Public, Boston Blue, something of that nature. Boston Shield. I don't know. There's a lot of procedurals out there.
Yeah, I've noticed. It's funny. She was one of those performers where I'd noticed her before, but I didn't really know who she was. And now that I know who Tawny Newsome is, I see her in things. I'm like, oh, I love her.
Yeah.
She definitely made me a fan of their work.
She was in that space with Steve Carell.
Oh yeah. Was it Space? What did they call it? Space Force?
Space Force, I think it was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Check out I just threw a link into the other the thing I saw. It's really bad. It's a 1980s Miami generation Star Trek parody. Oh, yeah. Again, same thing. They're like, rolling in their rolled up sleeves on Miami Beach with their, suit jackets, their linen jackets, the sleeves pulled up. And yeah, it's pretty good. You think that Riker had a good look in the other one? Check out Riker's look in this one. It's so dumb. If you put in, I just put in a search to find it. If you put in AI Star Trek, there's a ton of these like random. There's like the redneck version. There's like all these different, parodies that they've done. Like it's amazing what you can do. There's like a disco version where like the Enterprise is circling around a giant disco ball. Yeah.
And they got Data dressed like John Travolta and holding his head in the bathroom. Saturday Night Fever.
Oh yes.
I guess that's what do you call it? Actually, Miami Vice. I guess the Miami Vice.
There's one in here called Star Trek: The Wrath of Nam, which is like a mashup of like Apocalypse Now and Star Trek, with like Picard in the chair, like doing his Captain Kurtz.
Mm-hmm.
I love the smell of gach in the morning.
Gach in the morning, yes. Go away.
Oh, it's so good. You can just create things without having talent nowadays.
I know, eh? And what were we talking about earlier?
Yeah, exactly. Yup.
Oh, it's The Naked Gun.
The Naked Gun. Have either of you checked out Wayward yet on Netflix? I think we talked about it briefly last week, but I saw that CBC did a piece on it because it was all filmed in Toronto or in the GTA.
What is it about?
It's based on a comic book. It's basically it's kind of it's a little like Gen V. It's basically like at a private academy, weird stuff starts happening, and it's sort of a like thriller stuff. It's based on a comic book, but I have not read it. But it's got Mae Martin in it, who's also a very talented Canadian performer, and I noticed the CBC did a big piece on it today, and I was like, well, maybe this thing's gathering steam. It's like Toni Collette and Mae Martin, and like it looks interesting, but also I'm not huge on like scary stuff like that, but I don't know. I'm waiting for someone else to watch it and tell me whether or not it's terrifying or not.
Well, all the because I noticed that Apple switched over to all the Halloween stuff.
Oh, I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so and I think this is in there is because it's a thriller, right?
Yeah.
And it's like Toni Collette's been in some pretty bang. Like she was in Hereditary. I don't know if you saw that one yet.
Terrifying. I have not seen it. I've seen clips of it, and it scared the crap out of me. I was like, nope, I'm out.
And there's that one with Hugh Grant. I think this came out recently.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about.
Very similar name. Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet, but I did watch Hereditary, and it's there's a scene in the middle of the movie just like will knock your head off. That's all I can say. But
I've heard about that scene. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, it's a pretty sad scene. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna go watch some Peacemaker or whatever.
Good plan.
Is that on now? It's on that, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's out there. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later.
Hi, May. We'll see you in the playoffs in about a week, right?
Baseball?
No, it's actually this weekend. So the Detroit Tigers are coming to Seattle.
Yeah, and we get the frickin' Yankees. Great.
Oh, did they win?
The Yankees won tonight.
Oh, I thought Boston they won last night too?
No, Yankees? So it's a best of three. The Red Sox won the first game and the Yankees won the last two. So it's over as of tonight. And so it's Yankees are coming to Toronto on Saturday. And the Tigers are playing the Mariners. But I want to see a 1977 expansion buddies game for the ALCS for the Seattle versus Toronto. So
is it the best of five or?
So the ALDS is best of five, and then the AL Championship Series is best of seven, and the World Series is best of seven.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So it's best of three, then best of seven, best of five.
What's the ALDS? What does that mean?
It's the Division League Series. So
division. Okay. Which is like left division, right division.
Well, it's because they don't really have a good way to quantify what they did by expanding the playoffs. It used to be only 4 teams made the playoffs, and then it was 6 teams make the playoffs, and then it was 8 teams make the playoffs, and now it's 10 teams make the playoffs, and there's 12 teams, I guess, now, right? So it's because 4 teams get byes, and the other 8 teams play each other, and then the winners of those ones play So it's a fancy way of saying there's no natural rivalry between Detroit and Seattle. Good luck, guys.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Baseball, you bet.
All right.
Okay, bye.
All right. Night.